The War Council of the Vrexian Dominion had never been so quiet. High Commander Krell tapped his 6 claws against the obsidian table, the sound echoing through the chamber like a death march. Around him sat the most decorated military minds of 3-star systems, and not one of them would meet his eyes. Typical. Let me see if I understand this correctly, Krell said, his voice dripping with the kind of sarcasm that could melt hull plating. We have 15,000 warships. The humans have, what was it? Oh yes. 12 functioning space stations and maybe 200 vessels that looked like they were assembled by blind children using spare parts. Admiral Freeze, whose purple scales had gone considerably paler in the last hour, nodded slowly. That is technically accurate, High Commander. Technically accurate, Krell repeated, savoring each syllable like it was poisoned candy. So someone want to explain to me why every single civilization within 50 light years refuses to even look at Earth funny? Anyone? No. Nobody wants to take credit for this absolutely fascinating piece of intelligence. A young tactical officer named Van raised one tentacle hesitantly. Sir, perhaps we should review the historical data again. Oh, wonderful idea, Van. Let us review the data. Because clearly I missed something the first 17 times. Krell pulled up the holographic display with more force than necessary, nearly breaking the console. The blue-green planet rotated slowly in the center of the room, looking about as threatening as a soap bubble. This is Earth. Population 8 billion. No unified government. Still using chemical propulsion for most of their rockets. Their most advanced weapon is something they call a nuclear bomb, which, and I quote from our analysis, works by making really big explosions. Several officers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They cannot even leave their own star system without extensive preparation, Krell continued, his voice rising. Their fastest ships would take them 4 years just to reach their nearest neighboring star. They argue constantly among themselves about the most ridiculous things. Last month they nearly started a continental war over fishing rights. Fishing rights. These are the beings that have the entire galactic community walking on eggshells, and nobody will tell me why. Freeze cleared her throat, which sounded like gravel in a blender. High Commander, if I may, there are the incidents. Ah yes. The incidents. Krell's mandibles clicked together in what might have been a smile if it were not so terrifying. Please, Admiral, enlighten us about these mysterious incidents. I do so love a good story, especially when it explains why we are apparently terrified of a species that still thinks touching their food with their bare hands is acceptable. The Admiral pulled up a new file, and the first image that appeared made several junior officers gasp. It showed a massive Korthian battlecruiser, or what was left of it. The ship had been turned inside out, quite literally, with its internal components somehow existing on the outside while the hull floated in pieces nearby. This was the Korthian Third Fleet's flagship, Freeze began. 6 months ago, they decided Earth would make an excellent slave colony. They sent this ship and 12 others to demonstrate their superiority. And Krell leaned forward, genuinely curious now. They all returned looking like this. The Korthians refused to discuss what happened. The only transmission we intercepted was their commander screaming something about mathematics being wrong and gravity not working properly. Van raised his tentacle again. Sir, we also have the Zelnar collective incident from 2 years ago. Oh good, more incidents. Please, do continue. My day was not confusing enough already. The hologram shifted to show what appeared to be an entire asteroid field that had not been there before. Except on closer inspection, those were not asteroids. They were ships. Hundreds of them, all belonging to the Zelnar, all compressed into neat little spheres roughly 3 meters in diameter. The Zelnar sent a diplomatic envoy, Van explained, his voice shaking slightly. They were very polite about it, apparently. told the humans they would be absorbed into the collective for the good of all sentient life. Standard Zelnar procedure. Let me guess, Krell said, examining his claws with exaggerated disinterest. The humans declined the invitation. Not exactly, sir. According to the records, a human negotiator, a female named Dr. Patricia Huang, listened to their entire presentation. Then she asked them if they had ever heard of something called quantum entanglement. The Zelnar representatives said yes, of course, everyone knows basic physics. Then Dr. Huang asked them if they had ever wondered what would happen if someone applied quantum entanglement principles to gravitational fields at a macro scale. And they laughed at her, I assume. They did, sir. Very condescendingly, according to the audio logs. They told her that such a thing was theoretically impossible and that humans should leave advanced physics to civilizations that had mastered interstellar travel. Krell waited, sensing there was more. There was always more. Dr. Huang apparently smiled and said, and this is a direct quote, that is adorable. 3 seconds later, the entire Zelnar fleet spontaneously compressed into what you see before you. Every single ship, simultaneously, from across 12 light minutes of space. The War Council sat in stunned silence. Dr. Huang then asked if they would like to reconsider their proposal. The Zelnar survivors evacuated in their few remaining scout ships and have not been heard from since. Their home world issued a galaxy-wide notice declaring Earth a protected research site and suggesting everyone stay very far away from it. Krell felt a headache forming between his primary and secondary eyes. Protected research site. They turned an invasion fleet into decorative paperweights, and they get labeled a research site. There is more, High Commander, Vrexian said quietly. Of course there is. Why would there not be more? Please, pile it on. I clearly have not reached my daily quota of existential dread. The hologram changed again, this time showing a Dravix war sphere. Krell recognized it immediately. The Dravix were not known for subtlety or mercy. Their war spheres could sterilize a planet in hours. The Dravix decided Earth had resources they wanted, Vrexian continued. They did not bother with threats or negotiations. They simply showed up in orbit and began charging their planetary bombardment systems. And the humans destroyed them? Krell asked, hoping for at least one straightforward answer today. No, sir. The humans sent them a message. It was a single human, an older male, speaking from what appeared to be his residential dwelling. He introduced himself as Professor Emeritus Gerald Blackstone, and he taught something called theoretical astrophysics. What did this professor say to a Dravix war sphere? He told them they had 5 minutes to leave or he would be very disappointed. The Dravix commander found this hilarious and said so over an open channel, asking what one old human could possibly do. Professor Blackstone said he had warned them, and then did something with what the humans call a tablet computer. Just touched it a few times, very casually. Krell was almost afraid to ask. What happened? The war sphere vanished, sir. Completely. Gone from all sensors, all detection grids, everything. 3 days later, it reappeared in orbit around the Dravix homeworld. Empty. Completely empty. No crew, no atmosphere, no trace that anyone had ever been aboard. Just a perfectly functional war sphere with every system operational and absolutely nobody inside. That is impossible. Yes, sir. The Dravix said the same thing. They sent investigators. The ship's logs showed no gap in time. As far as the ship's systems were concerned, no time had passed at all. But the crew was simply gone. Vanished between 1 microsecond and the next. Van brought up another file. Sir, we should also discuss the Marauder clan's incident. Oh, wonderful. The Marauders. Because this briefing was not giving me enough nightmares already. The Marauder clans were the galaxy's favorite problem children. No government, no rules, just pure anarchic violence wherever they felt like it. They raided, they pillaged, they generally made nuisances of themselves, and everyone tolerated it because stopping them would require resources nobody wanted to commit. Last year, when began, approximately 40,000 Marauder ships decided Earth looked like easy prey. They did not even try to be subtle. They broadcasted their intentions across every frequency, promised to enslave the population, the usual Marauder nonsense. And the humans activated some terrifying superweapon. Krell guessed. No, sir. The humans sent a single ship to meet them. It was not even a military vessel. It was a commercial transport that had been hastily retrofitted with a communication array. The pilot was a teenager. Krell's headache intensified. A teenager? Yes, sir. A human adolescent named Marcus Webb, age 17. He opened a channel to the Marauder fleet and challenged their entire armada to single combat. They killed him, obviously. They tried to, sir. Every single ship opened fire simultaneously. Enough firepower to crack a moon. The human vessel simply was not there when the shots arrived. Then it was behind them. Then above them. Then somehow inside their formation without anyone seeing it move. Marcus Webb spent the next 6 minutes, we have the recording, casually dodging 40,000 warships while eating something the humans call a sandwich and critiquing their tactics. That is not possible. The Marauders said the same thing, sir. Then Marcus apparently got bored and asked if they were done embarrassing themselves. When they kept shooting, he did something that our analysts still cannot explain. Every single Marauder ship simultaneously found itself locked in a stable orbit around Earth's moon. Perfect orbits, all of them, synchronized down to the millimeter. When they tried to break free, their engines simply would not respond. Marcus Webb told them they could leave when they had all written a 500-word essay on why invading inhabited worlds was not very nice. Krell stared at the hologram, his brain refusing to process what he was hearing. Essays? Yes, sir. Apparently, it took them 3 days, but eventually all 40,000 ships submitted their essays. Marcus Webb graded them personally. 20,000 ships passed and were released. The other 20,000 had to rewrite theirs because, and I quote, they clearly were not taking this seriously. Where are those ships now? Still orbiting Earth's moon, sir. Still rewriting their essays. Marcus Webb checks on them occasionally and provides feedback. Last we heard, he was disappointed in their grammar. Krell stood up slowly, his considerable height making several officers lean back nervously. He walked to the hologram of Earth, studying it with the intensity of someone trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. So let me make sure I understand our situation, he said softly, which was somehow more terrifying than when he shouted. The humans have no interstellar empire. No advanced technology that we can detect. No unified military. They argue about fishing rights. But they can turn invasion fleets into compressed scrap metal, make entire crews vanish from sealed ships, teach invading armadas about proper grammar, and do all of this while eating sandwiches and suggesting we leave them alone. That is accurate, High Commander. And nobody has thought to ask them how they do any of this. Fraser's scales went even paler. Sir, the Galactic Council sent a delegation 2 months ago. Very official, very diplomatic. They wanted to open formal relations and perhaps discuss Earth joining the greater galactic community. Let me guess what happened. The humans were very polite. They invited the delegation to something called a barbecue. The delegates reported that the humans grilled meat over open flames, drank fermented plant matter, and spent 4 hours explaining why their particular regional method of preparing the meat was superior to all other regional methods. Did they learn anything useful? The lead diplomat asked, very carefully, how humans had developed such advanced defensive capabilities. One of the humans, a school teacher named Robert Kim, laughed and said they had not developed anything. He said they were just using basic high school physics. When the diplomat asked what high school physics could possibly allow someone to compress a fleet into spheres or make people vanish, Mr. Kim looked genuinely confused and asked if the delegate's species had never learned about the fundamental interconnectedness of space-time and consciousness. Krell felt his headache evolve into something that might require medical attention. And what did our delegation say to that? They apparently stared at him in silence for a full minute. Then Mr. Kim said, "Oh, you guys have not figured that part out yet. That is okay. Everyone develops at their own pace. Would you like more potato salad?" The War Council sat in the kind of silence usually reserved for funerals or tax audits. Finally, Krell spoke. "So what you are telling me, what all of this data is telling me, is that Earth is not defenseless. Earth is so catastrophically dangerous that they do not even realize they are dangerous because to them this is just basic physics they teach to children." "That would be our assessment, High Commander. And we were considering invading them. It was on the agenda, yes sir." Krell looked at his War Council, at the decorated officers and brilliant strategists, and he started to laugh. It was not a pleasant laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had just realized they had been standing on the edge of a cliff in the dark. Motion to strike Earth from all potential conquest lists. Every hand, tentacle, claw, and appendage in the room shot up immediately. Motion passed. "Someone get me something strong to drink." And someone else sent a very polite message to Earth thanking them for the fascinating conversation and assuring them we have absolutely no interest in visiting, now or ever. As the council dispersed, Van approached hesitantly. "Sir, there is one more thing." Krell stopped at the door. "Van, I swear by all the stars, if you tell me there is another incident, I will personally throw you out an airlock. It is just a final note from the Galactic Council archives, sir." Apparently, when the delegation was leaving Earth, Mr. Kim gave them a parting gift. He said it was something humans give to visitors. "A book." "What kind of book?" "It is titled, Introduction to Physics for Middle School Students, Grade 7, Earth Standard Education." Krell took the book from Van's outstretched tentacle and opened it to a random page. The words made absolutely no sense to him whatsoever. There were diagrams involving something called quantum foam and explanations of how consciousness affects probability fields and a cheerful note saying that students should not worry if they found this confusing because it would all make sense once they learned calculus. "This is what they teach their children," Krell whispered. "Yes, sir. They're 7-year-old children. Technically 12 to 13-year-old children, sir, but yes." Krell closed the book very carefully, as if it might explode. "Van, I want you to take this book, seal it in our most secure vault, and make sure nobody ever opens it again. Then I want you to send a message to every world in the Dominion. The message will be simple: under no circumstances does anyone go near Earth. Ever. For any reason." "Sir, what should we tell them when they ask why?" Krell looked at the book one more time, then at the hologram of the small blue planet still rotating peacefully in the center of the room. "Tell them that some species are apex predators because they have claws and teeth. Some are apex predators because they have advanced technology. And some species are apex predators because they broke the universe and did not even notice. Earth is the third kind. And we are going to stay very, very far away from them." As Krell left the War Council chamber, he could not help but think about Marcus Webb, still up there near Earth's moon, patiently grading essays and probably eating another sandwich. Somewhere in the galaxy, someone was learning a very important lesson today. Krell was just grateful it was not him.